The next day, the island of Sodor was covered in a thick blanket of white snow. Thomas, Annie and Clarabelle were feeling fully rested and were now full of energy. Thomas coupled up to his coaches, his driver fastened on the snowplow, and they set off back to Tidmouth Station. At the station, Percy was back on the rails, but something was damaged inside him, and he couldn't move. "Oh, I really am sorry about this, Thomas," he said. "Don't worry, Percy. The Fat Controller told me you were going to be alright. He's sending you to Crewe as we don't have the parts required at the works to fix you, so another engine is coming to take you there," said Thomas. "Who's taking me?" asked Percy. Just then, Oliver arrived. "Come on, Percy," he smiled. "I have a flatbed waiting in the yards. I'm taking you to Crewe." "Thank you, Oliver." "Goodbye, Thomas." "Bye, Percy. Come back soon," whistled Thomas. This time, Annie and Clarabelle were enjoying the night work. It grew colder and colder, but because he was working so hard and his fireman kept stoking his boiler, Thomas didn't notice. Later, when they were crossing the bridge over the river, Thomas suddenly heard a quacking sound. Quack! "It's a duck," said Thomas. "What's a duck doing awake at this hour?" "Help!" quacked the duck. Thomas's driver looked over the bridge of the river. "That's Donald's duck and she's frozen. The river's turned to ice." "Help! I've damaged my wing. I can't fly and I can't get up the ice. I'm very cold and hungry," she wailed. Thomas explained the situation to his driver. "Oh dear, it won't be safe for me or the fireman to go on the ice, but we can't just leave it there. We'll have to call for help." Thomas blew his whistle loudly for about 10 minutes. For miles around, lights came on in the houses as people began to wondering who was making all the noise in the middle of the night. But no one came to find out. Thomas tried again. "Shh! I can hear something," said the fireman. In the distance was the whirring sound of Harold the helicopter. Thomas whistled loudly again, and before long Harold was hovering overhead. "Evening, Thomas. I'm on safety patrol because of the bad weather, you know, rescuing people and that sort of thing. But it looks like I'm needed here. Don't worry, you can depend on me." said the duck. Quack what? Said Harold. If you can free Donald's duck, said Thomas's driver, we can take care of her on the train. Easy, said Harold. So he flew down to the river. But it wasn't easy. Every time Harold flew near to Dilly, the rotor blades blew her across the ice, every time she tried to get on board. Wait, called Thomas, I've got an idea. Why don't you sort of blow her towards the riverbank? It was a very good idea. Harold carefully positioned himself and blew Donald's duck towards the side of the frozen river, where Thomas's driver and fireman picked it up and took it back up to where Thomas was waiting. Well done, Harold, said Annie and Clarabelle. You're our hero. Just doing my job, whirred Harold, and then he buzzed away to go and find someone else to rescue. When Thomas and his crew returned to Tidmouth Sheds, the Fat Controller gave Thomas's driver and fireman permission to take care of Donald's duck for a few days until she recovered. But first, you must get some rest. You've all worked hard and helped us out of a difficult situation, said the Fat Controller. I'll tell the others not to disturb you until you've had some sleep. But they had very little sleep that day, and for the next 3 days, Donald's duck would not stop talking. She talked about this and she talked about that, and sometimes she talked about nothing at all. But she was having a quacking good time, and she wanted to tell everyone about it. Just then, Donald bustled into the sheds, and he saw Thomas look tired. Does that duck ever stop quacking? Groaned Thomas. I can know how you feel, Thomas. I went through the same thing during the time when Duck first popped her into my water tank. I slowly learned to accept it, though. Let me tell you about it.
She was driving me insane. My driver and my fireman tried everything they know to shoot the quacker away from me, but she didn't know where to go. The quacker clearly loves me, was impossible to know. So now we have befriended her, she rides inside my car. She quacks in stations big and small, she quacks at people too. Now everyone calls her Donald's duck, but I call her my quackaroo. She makes me so happy with her little wings. So happy, it's true. Now everyone calls her Donald's duck, but I call her a quackaroo. Quacking here, quacking there, she's quacking everywhere. Quack, quack, choo, 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 she's my little quack. She's my quackaroo. Now everybody loves her, they love to hear her quack. And when we have to say goodbye, they ask when she'll be back. She's captured everybody's heart, she knows just what to do. Now everyone calls her Donald's duck, but she's my quackaroo. She makes me so
all the engines and carriages liked her very much, but they were very pleased when the ice melted and Donald's duck flew back to the river. One day, Thomas was resting in the yard with Annie and Clarabelle, when suddenly he heard a puffing sound. Can it be? Then he heard a whistle he'd been waiting to hear for a very long time. Percy! Percy puffed into the yard. His paint-work gleamed in the sunlight. Hello, Thomas. I've missed you so much, said Percy happily. I missed you too, replied Thomas. So how was Crewe? It was nice. I can see why Henry liked it when he went for his remodel. So, never mind me, how was about you? Did you enjoy the post-train runs, or did Annie and Clarabelle just complain all the time about being up all night? We actually really enjoyed it, said Annie. Really? Percy was surprised. We want to continue doing it. Please don't take it away from us, Percy, wailed Clarabelle. Please, wailed the coaches together. This gave Percy an idea. Nowadays, Thomas and Percy take the post train together, just like back in the old days. Tom Tipper and the Fat Controller were more than happy to throw in this arrangement, because now the post arrives on time. But Thomas will always look back to the Christmas where he helped his friend, along with having the best Christmas ever on the island of Sodor.